So, good morning. About middle of week 5 of abstaining from watching television in this project for the class. And I would say that definitely struggling with not wanting to. It became such a routine, and it's the way of, had become a way of just relaxing and zoning out after work and being able to detach and not have to think. That probably was one of the biggest reasons why I was using TV as a coping mechanism. I found that listening to music and some podcasts, and even started listening to a book online, or I'm having it read or Audible kind of thing, that kind of helped for alternative options instead of watching TV. Music being the main one that I've really leaned into, but I really have struggled, especially when one of the kids comes in and wants to like hang out. They want to like show me their new show that they just watched, or well, my son is really into troll hunters, and there was a new episode he wanted to share. So that was really hard to say, well, we're gonna have to hold off on that. We'll do that one a little bit later. And have him instead tell me more, like let him go watch it and have him tell me about the important parts. So that part was kind of cool, but um, one of the questions was, is will I remain in this changed behavior? And I think, yeah, well, at some capacity I will. I definitely found that cutting down TV, it opened up some doors for other avenues. So I would like to continue not using the TV as my relaxation. Maybe just keep it as more of a special, or just limit the amount for sure. Put the full on restriction, like one, maybe two shows a night or something like that. Instead of binge watching for 8 to 10 hours or whatever it ended up being. Um, One of the things that I found, that my kids have really been more supportive than I thought they were going to be. Being a single parent, it's kind of hard to find ways of explaining why you're doing what you're doing, or fully have them understand. But my 13-year-old daughter was probably the best at keeping me accountable for it. She was like, Mom, I know you want to watch TV, but you agreed to do this, as you committed to this for class, and you really need to be doing it. And she would encourage, and she's helped me with some. We painted together and did some other stuff, little hanging out on that end instead of turning the TV on. She's auditioning for a solo piece for her choir, so we've been listening to that same song and practicing that. That's been a lot better. So there are some definite ideas. I was last week, I got to spend some time with Celebrate Recovery, and I really felt that there was one verse. Let me pull it up here real quick. That because we're asking him to, God to come in and forgive our shortcomings. So they talk about the 12 steps with the biblical references, and I found that really beneficial. That if we confess our sins, He is faithful and just and will forgive us and put our sins and purify us from all unrighteousness. And I really felt that verse kind of helped out, because as I was struggling and not and wanting, and actually to give in a couple times to watch an hour here and there, being able to be still come up and say, yep, and admit to that I did this, that I failed a little bit, but knowing that God is faithful and He will continue to forgive me even in my shortcomings, was a motivation for me, not necessarily to relapse or anything like that, but more that I know that I'm not alone during this process. And in my experience as a case manager at the homeless shelter, sometimes just that ounce of hope, or know that someone is going to come alongside you, whether, really do encourage to allow the Spirit to come in. But sometimes just hearing someone's got your back or is going to help you stay accountable really does help you stay a little motivated on the process. And that when you do relapse or do, mess up, that there's a lesson to learn instead of a punishment. And I think that's really vital. I've noticed a difference between, instead of the negative of the relapse, finding a positive, like what did you learn this time, or is there, are we able to identify a different trigger this time so we can make it a little bit easier, or notice that the emotional relapse is starting before the full physical relapse started. That's been kind of beneficial, just even for myself, like when I'm super tired and I'm just ready, I don't want to think anymore, what can I do instead? And like I said, instead of turning on the TV, I turned on worship music instead, and it just really helped recenter. So I do find that that's helped a lot. The I rated my progress right about a 5. It's still real struggling, mostly because I so used to just using that as the not relapse, but the relaxation of the day. I deal with people all day, 10 to 12 hours sometimes, and I don't want to have to think about the emotional stuff anymore. I want something that's going to make me laugh and just silliness, and not have a brain and my brain think about or process it out. So still struggle a little bit about just wanting something a little different, but in general I feel like there's a little bit more progress. And then in general I've actually found that I've been sleeping better because of the music, changing from music to TV to fall asleep too. It's definitely made some differences on that. And then I'm able to do more of a worship and more study time, not just for school, but with my Bible and my Bible study that I'm participating in. So, in general, definitely making progress. Do you think that some of the behavior, definitely want to keep it the limit of it, maybe not full on abstinence, but or of a modified program with watching TV. Um, that's pretty much where I'm at. Thanks.